In today's video, we're going to be using Adobe Illustrator to create ourselves a flat design of an electric guitar. As you can see, it's a little bit more detail than we're used to, but it's still quite a simple design. We may have to split it up into two videos though, as it is a fairly time-consuming object to make. So let's get started today by heading up to the File menu and selecting New. And from the templates, we're going to choose the Web Templates and the 1280 by 1024 pixel document size. Click Create when you're ready to go. And from here we're going to grab our rectangle tool and just put a background in first of all today. So we're going to turn our stroke off in our properties panel here. So just choose the first box with the red line going through it. And for the fill color, I might just go back to my swatches here. We want a kind of yellowy, a light yellowy cream color. None of these really do it justice, so we might have to just play with our levers here a bit until we get a colour that looks alright. Yeah, I guess something around there is not too bad. So once you've got a colour that you like, just start in the top left corner, drag down to the bottom right corner and drop that colour into place. Once you've got it in, just head to your Layers panel, expand the Layer 1 by hitting that little arrow there. And in the rectangle layer, just lock it by pressing in this empty box here, and a little padlock will pop up, which will show you that you've locked your layer and you can no longer edit it. Alrighty, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the body section of the guitar. Alright, so to do that we're going to start by drawing some circles. So over on your rectangle tool, hold your mouse down and select the ellipse tool. The ellipse tool is just another name for the circle tool. Now what we're going to do in our properties is change the fill color here. I'm going to use the color mixer and actually type in a hexadecimal code. Code I'm looking for is D6444F. And as you can see, that's a kind of reddish color. Now when you draw this circle onto the screen, onto the page, sorry, just hold Shift and drag out so you get a perfect circle. Probably want to make it about that big. Okay, it doesn't really matter as long as it fits on your page, we'll be happy. Just move it towards the bottom of your canvas too, because we're going to build up from here. Okay, so have that situated somewhere near the bottom. Now what we're going to do to this, to add a bit of dimension to it, we're going to add some different sections of shading onto the guitar. We're actually going to split it up into 4 sections. Okay, so to put in some shading, just click off that circle first of all, and go and grab your rectangle tool. Change the fill color to pure black. I just want you to click and drag a rectangle over half of your circle, like that. Okay, now you will have guides that pop up and show you when you actually get your circle right in the middle. Okay, you'll see some pink guides that show you that. Once you've got it into the middle, we're going to grab the bottom of this shape and just resize it to halfway up. Again, your pink guides should show you when you get to the center, which is about there. Alrighty, now I'm going to copy that, or duplicate it, sorry, by holding down Alt, and you'll see my mouse cursor change to a black and a white arrow. I'm going to click and drag that out and drop another copy right across from it, just there. And then I'm going to hold Shift and select both of these now. And I'm going to hold Alt again and click and drag down, straight down, and snap them onto the bottom section. So now I've got 4 rectangles, which are going to be used for my 4 different shadows on the guitar body here. For the top right one, just go and select that. I want you to change its opacity there to 10%. It's going to be a very light shadow. In the top left, I want you to change the opacity there to 20%. Okay, so type 20% in here and press enter. For the bottom right, do the same again, 20% for the opacity. And for the bottom left, we're going to make it really dark compared to the other ones. We're going to make it a 50% opacity. Alright, so you can see the shading now on our guitar body. What we want to do is get rid of these extra parts of the black rectangle around the outside of the body now. So to do that, you need to highlight everything on your page, so everything's selected, and then go and grab your Shape Builder tool from your toolbox. Hold down the Alt key and you'll see the little plus sign disappear from your mouse cursor and will turn to a minus sign. You can just click and drag over those 4 sections outside of the circle and it will delete them. Now when you click off your circle now with your selection tool, you can see you've got the 4 sections of your circle, or the body of your guitar, shaded in. I'm going to highlight that entire circle, right click on it and just group that all together. Okay, that's one big shape now. Alright, we're going to do that one more time now to create the second part of our guitar. So with this selected, just hold Alt, click and drag up a second circle. Okay, just want to overlap it a little bit. And we're going to make this a bit smaller. So just drag it in from one of the corners. Probably want to have it sitting about there. And you want to send this new circle, so the smaller one, to the back. So just right click on it, arrange, and send backward. And that just puts it behind that main body section of our guitar. Now I want to take a little chunk out of this shape as well. So what I'm going to do is grab my ellipse tool again from my toolbox. And it doesn't really matter what fill color you choose. Okay, I'm just going to stick with black. And I want you to draw a little circle while holding shift onto the screen. Nothing too big, it's only going to be a little chunk out of the guitar. Now you don't want to come across into the center section because we've got the fretboard to run up the middle of the guitar, so you want to make this cut probably more over to the right. Probably somewhere about there will be alright. We can go a little bit into where the fretboard would be, it's probably about there. That'll probably do us. Actually I might go a little bit higher. Oh, it's going to be trial and error, but that'll do me there. What I'm going to do now, using my selection tool, is just highlight everything, then go back and grab my shape builder tool again. Hold the Alt key again on my keyboard and just click and drag over that black circle. And you can see it takes a little chunk out of the guitar. Looks a bit funny now, but once we get the guitar finished, it'll look pretty cool. Alrighty, so the next thing we might do is throw a few little dials onto the guitar. So to do that, we just grab our ellipse tool again from our toolbox. The fill color for the dials is going to be like a goldy color. I'll type in the code for you. It'll be FFB165. And we will put a stroke on it. We'll just put a 1-point stroke to start with, and we'll leave it as black. We will actually no, we'll change it. Let's come over here to this stroke button here. That's going to allow us to change the color of it. So the color I want the stroke is 960000. And you can see now my strokes are kind of reddish color. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in down here. We're just going to hold shift and draw ourselves a little dial on the guitar. Now I'm going to turn that stroke up. It's not quite big enough. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, there we go. So stroke will be size 4. And that looks good. So let's duplicate that by holding down Alt and just dragging out 2 more of those buttons just to sit around the bottom of the guitar there. And we're also going to put 1 more of those in up the top here. So I'm just going to hold Alt and just stick one up there as well somewhere. It doesn't really matter where, but somewhere up in that vicinity will look good. Alright, so feel free to spread them out to do what you need to. I reckon an equal distance apart roughly will look good. The next thing we might do is draw on the pickups, I think they're called, on the guitar body. So we're going to use our rounded rectangle tool for that. And the color we want is going to be black. Actually, we might go very close to black, a really dark grey. No, we'll go black, it'll probably look better. And the stroke is going to be set back to nothing. We don't want a stroke for this. Now the first pickup's going to go about halfway up this body section here. That's probably too big, so I'll just need to bring it in a little bit. Something like that is what our first pickup's going to look like. Alright, then we can just duplicate that. So hold Alt and click on it and then drag up. You want to keep it in line, so hold Shift as well while you're dragging this up. And you're going to make this one skinnier. So if you need to zoom in here, what we're going to have to do, these little white circles, I want you to straighten it out first of all so it's got no radius. That'll make it look more like just a straight rectangle, not a rounded rectangle. Now you can make it a bit skinnier, even skinnier than that. And then, whoops, zoom in, round out these corners again. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. So there's our first 2 pickups. We're going to put in another one, so let's hold Alt again and click on this big one. Hold Shift as well and drag up. This fella's going to sit up at, I don't know, about there I reckon. Now here's a fairly big one, so you can probably make him a little bit bigger than the original. It's looking pretty good. We've got one final one to go, so let's just duplicate this one. Hold Alt, hold Shift, drag up, and we'll put it smack bang in the center of that little circle up there. So they're going to be the pickups for our guitar. Okay. On this bottom pickup, we might throw in a couple of screws down the end there. So just grab your ellipse tool, change the fill color to a medium kind of grey, and just hold Shift and draw out a little circle like so. Use the selection tool to get that pretty much in the center, and then hold Alt and Shift, drag off and put one on the other side. So it's roughly going to look like that. Okay, so hopefully you can see the body section of our guitar starting to come together. What we're going to start on now is the neck. Okay, it's the big long section on our guitar. So to do that, we'll use our rectangle tool, and we just want a fill color here. So for our fill color, I'm going to go back to the color mixer and type in a code. It's going to be FCB C58. That gives us a kind of yellow color. Now that's going to stretch from this final pickup here up to somewhere near the top. So I will start about here. I'm guessing we want to come up, not quite to the top, let's say about there to start with. Right, we may need to nudge this around a bit to get it right in the center. There we go. That's not looking too bad. It's blending in with the background a bit there, so what I'm going to do is change the background in a moment. Give it a bit more height so it looks a bit better. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to change this background color. So in my layers, I'm going to go down, unlock it, just click on that background. I get the feeling you might need to make it a bit different color. Yeah, that's good enough for now. We'll change it again later if need be. But that is the neck for our guitar. Okay, now on top of that, we're just going to grab our rectangle tool yet again. We're going to go, whoa, I want black. We need to lock that background before we go any further, because it's going to be annoying. Okay, now we'll grab black, and what we're going to do is just draw a little section on top of the neck here, so you can zoom in if you want. It's just going to be a little rectangle that sits like so. And now we can start drawing whatever that's called at the top, where all the pegs go. Maybe the pegboard, I'm guessing it could be called. Now for the pegboard, we're going to use a rounded rectangle. Okay, so in your toolbox, grab the rounded rectangle. I'm going to change the fill color again by typing in a code. And it's going to be D6444F. And basically, let's just draw it out here to start with. We're going to draw a little board that probably looks something like that. Let's just bring it up the top once we're done. Now we're going off our artboard here a little bit, but that's okay. We'll resize the guitar in a moment. You want it probably looking something like that. That's pretty much centered, which is good. Now we're going to use our white direct selection tool here. Okay, we need to click on this corner. If I zoom in here, you can see these two little blue dots. These are anchor points. So I want you to grab this bottom anchor point and just bring it down. Oops. Got to click on it first to select it, then bring it down so it snaps onto the corner of that black section. Do the same for this little anchor point over here. Just click on it once to select it, and then click and drag it down there. So now our pegboard attaches to our guitar. Alright, that looks pretty sweet. We might add a shadow in now as well before we go any further. So, well, actually, no, we might add the shadow in at the end once we've drawn the pegs. I might even give the pegs a bit of a shadow, so we'll just leave that for a second. Start drawing the tuning pegs. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our ellipse tool and we're going to change the fill color yet again. Let's type in a code again. We're going to do a yellow color, so FFB165. And that'll look good. And we're just going to hold Shift and draw out a little circle about that big. I'm going to duplicate that circle now, so with my selection tool I'll click while holding Alt and drag down, still holding Shift as well. Hit 1, 2 and 3 down the left hand side. Okay, we'll work out the spacing between them in a second. What we need to do that is we need to get that one in its starting, you get that one in its start position, this one here down in its end position, which is about there. Now I'm going to click on each of these 3 circles and select them while holding Shift. Okay, now that they are selected, I'm going to go to my window menu, open up the Align panel, and what are we going to do? We're going to distribute the objects. Okay, now we've got a few options here. I might try vertical distribute center and see what that does. Nothing. Try the horizontal distribute center. Does nothing either, so they must be all perfectly spaced apart already. I'll just show you what happens if we move one of these a bit further apart. Alright, so now there's a bit of an uneven gap between them all, so now if we try the vertical distribute center, that's the one we were looking for, it evenly spaces them out. Alright, that looks good. So with these 3 selected still, I'm just going to hold down Alt and Shift and drag across and bring out the tuning pegs for the other side. That looks pretty good. Probably a little bit, a little bit far away from the center of these ones. That looks pretty nice. We'll zoom out and have a look at that. Yeah, that'll be fine. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some little tuning pegs coming off the side of the board here. So grab your rectangle tool. We're going to change the fill color. And we're going to change it to another code here. It's going to be F7931E. Still a goldy kind of color, but it's just going to be used for the tuning pegs. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag out a little peg like so. We want to get it pretty much centered. That's pretty much in the center, I'm thinking. And we'll hold Alt and drag down another one so it's centered, and then another one down here. And I hold Shift on those, hold Alt and drag them straight over the other side, also holding Shift. Okay, now we can just draw some little tuning pegs on the end of those. So the way we're going to draw them is with the ellipse tool. Okay, now these tuning pegs aren't perfect circles. We might change the color of them as well, just back to the same color as these. So that color was FFB165. See how we go here. I might just draw one off to the side to start with, maybe something like that. It's giving me the wrong color. Let me just use my eyedropper. There we go. And we're just going to basically put that on the end like so. Okay, that might be a little bit too big, so I'll just make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So I'm just going to duplicate that a few times. Oops. Actually, hold Alt, and then hold Shift once you start dragging. And we've got our 3 tuning pegs on that side. We'll do the same on the other side. And there we go. It's not looking too bad. Might need to just nudge these in a little bit more. Okay, they are blending in with the background still, so I'm going to have to change that background again at the end of the day, but won't do it just yet. Alright, so that guitar's looking pretty good. Last thing we've got to go is just the strings. Okay, I probably won't worry about a second video because we're nearly done here. So the strings are a little bit tricky. We've got to get them to fit perfectly on this fretboard. Okay, so over in your toolbox, you've got something called the line segment tool. It's just this diagonal line that we're going to use. Okay, for the fill color, we're going to turn it off. And for the stroke color, okay, just give it black for a second, and then we're just going to type in the code. The string color, what's it going to be? It's going to be E6, E6, E6. It's kind of a really light grey color. And what we want to do is draw 6 strings that go from this black pickup, oh sorry, not that black pickup, the bottom one, up to the top to this black one. Okay, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit uneven for now. What we're going to do is we're going to start right on the top here. I might even just draw them while holding shift just up to there for a minute. 1 point, I might make them 2 point in size, they're a little bit thicker. There we go, so 1, 2. Remember, it doesn't matter if they're spaced apart unevenly at the minute. So we are going to fix that very shortly. So holding shift when you do this will keep them nice and straight. Whoa. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to get one more in here somewhere, so let's see if we can fit it in there. Alright, so let's see, are they all pretty even? May need to just move this guy up a little bit. They all look pretty even. So we're going to select all of these strings now. Okay, so let me just zoom out a bit here. So you got to be careful. Click on the first one, hold shift, click on the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay, and then we're going to resize them up to this black section at the top of our fretboard. Where is it? Here it comes. Now we're basically going to put it on top of the black stuff just there so it connects to the red part. Alright, so that's looking good. Now I want you to just move the first string and the last string the same distance away from the edge of the page. From the edge of the neck there. That looks actually pretty good. Now we need to go back through and hold shift and select each of these strings again. And we're going to go back to our window menu and get our align option up. And we're going to distribute these objects again. Okay, now this time I want to distribute them horizontally. So we're going across the neck of the guitar. And what that does is just evenly spaces them out. So this button here just did that, the horizontal distribute center. Alright, so if we zoom back out now and have a look, looking pretty good. These ones down here don't quite reach the bottom though, so we better just stretch them down. Alright, so the bottom looks sweet. Going up the neck of the guitar there, they're all perfectly straight, evenly spaced apart, and they hit the top all in the same spot. That's looking good, but they're not finished. We need to get them to connect up to each of the tuning pegs. And we're just going to do that a little bit differently. We're going to use the arc tool for that instead of the line segment tool. So hold your mouse down on the line segment tool and select the arc tool. Zooming in, the first string here on the left, just click on it. Whoops. Sorry, click and drag up. And put it right in the center of that first circle like so. For the second one, click and drag up. Put it in the center. The next one seems to be a little bit off then. I don't know why it's going a little bit off, but never mind. And then we'll do this third one. Click and drag up to the top there. The fourth string goes up to the top on the other side. Fifth string comes through to the middle one on the right. And this last little string will just go straight up pretty much to there. Okay, so that little arc tool, very handy for getting those strings just nice and subtly curved. Alright, so now we can put on this shadow on the guitar, on the fretboard, whatever it's called up the top here. And then I think we will be pretty much done. Alright, so I'm going to have to go to my layers here and I'm going to have to hide a few bits and pieces while I do this, otherwise it might get a little bit confusing. Actually, no, we might get away with it. Let's just grab our rectangle tool. We'll see how we go. Click off everything, turn the stroke off, and fill needs to be black. Alright, now we're going to click and drag over. Probably do this all in one hit. I'm going to go down the neck of the guitar as well. Let's go all the way down to when the neck of the guitar begins, which is about there. Okay, looks like I am going to have to hide a few things. I'm and I have to hide my guitar body in my layers panel. So in your layers panel, look for your guitar body here and just hit the eyes next to them. Just get rid of them. We might get rid of a few other things like dials and those pickups. We might even, we'll leave the strings there. They can have a shadow. That'll probably do. Now in our properties, with our black rectangle selected here, we're going to change the opacity to 20%. Okay, let's just cast a shadow across this part of the guitar. Now, if we highlight everything on our page there, we want to use our Shape Builder tool again, and hold Alt, and just delete that grey section on the outside there. Yeah, that seems to have worked, so that's good. We've got a shadow now on half of the fretboard and the neck of the guitar there. So let's go up to our layers and just hit those little eye symbols again on the ones we just got rid of, so they all come back to life there. So let's have a look. We've got all the dials in, we've got the pickups, strings, the body's looking good, shadow on the neck looks sweet, strings are all connecting to the pegs at the top. I think we're done. So let's just sort this background situation out and get it all to fit on one page. So let's highlight it all, right click on it and group it, and we'll just give it a bit of a resize so it all fits there nicely on one page, and we'll get it in the center roughly. Now in our layers, just unlock the background, and we're going to change this orange color here. I honestly don't know what color is going to go well with this. Maybe a dark purple will look good. Yeah, dark purple doesn't look too bad, so let's roll the dark purple. Control 0 will zoom back in, and you can get a good look there at your guitar. But there we have it. We are all finished. So to save up, what I would do is just go to the File menu. If you want to save it for the web or on use on mobile phones or stuff like that, just go to Export and click Export for Screens. Save it as a PNG file. There's an option for a JPEG too, but I'd leave it as a PNG. If you want to keep it as a vector file, just go to Save As and either leave it as an AI file, or you might like to go to a PDF document for printing, or even an EPS file. Alright, and that is it. You have completed a flight design of an electric guitar.